You guys sell more so I can buy that time. I can get my kids some milk in the cereal rather than the water.
And rogaine.
Package.
Craig, I'm with you on that.
Hey, groupie up here in the front row.
We've got a report, an evaluation for him coming up.
Yeah. Excuse me, sir, I prefer to work alone.
Okay.
I'll be here through Thursday. Hey, income planning. I want you to think of one word though, package, because all my remarks today are going to be about packaging. I'm going to go kind of quick. But I've been at this about 26 years, formerly Allianz guy, but I saw the light and came out of a legacy. And,
Good.
yeah. Tell me, what's the common denominator here in these photographs?
They're all dinosaurs.
They're all extinct.
They all aren't in.
They
ruled their market.
They're with the 8-track tape.
Yeah,
I got all these photos in Tony's office. So he's not-
That was good. I was at the 8-track on it.
No, they didn't adapt. Evolution, right? They didn't adapt. You either adapt, you evolve, or you fade away. What's that got to do with our practice? Well, we got to go with the flow, right? Things are a lot different than they were 5, 10, 15 years ago. Remember that, adapt. What's the common denominator, do you think, in these organizations?
They adapt.
No, they didn't adapt. This is a totally different conversation. Remember what my remarks are about?
No bailout.
Package plan.
Package. When, 20-some years ago when I started, there was a consulting firm that worked for Johnson & Johnson or somebody. They tried to figure out why consumers buy stuff. And the result of that research was people think in pictures and they buy in packages. So what started happening after the result of that with companies like Johnson & Johnson and others? Well, they started packaging a toothbrush with toothpaste, a razor with the shave cream, that kind of thing. What's that got to do with our industry? Well, let's talk about these companies, what they did with that information. McDonald's is probably the best example of packaging with a Happy Meal and a value meal. They're calling in right now to make their order. Comcast, my cable company, if I live in Minneapolis, the cable company has this triple play with internet, phone, and TV at a considerable discount. You know, that $250 a month is a discount, give me a break. Sam's Club, I had a party Super Bowl Sunday, I needed some snacks, so I went in there and I saw this tray with cheese, crackers, meats, everything. I had to get the forklift to get it out to the car, but it was just exactly what I needed. It was a huge package. And then the car companies, in Minnesota, if I want to buy a car with heated seats, I can't do that any longer. What do I got to get? The package, which has heated mirrors, leather, XM, all this stuff. But it works. People buy it. And why do they like it? Why do they buy it? They perceive it as a value. It's convenience. It's all these things. So think about your practice. What Alan was talking about earlier. How do you package what you do rather than talk about a specific product or idea or whatever it might be? So your walk away today, if you don't remember anything else, that I need a new tie, learn and evolve, and sell a package of benefits. There's lots of packages in our industry that can be bought and sold. Now, what's my package to you? I represent Legacy, as does Frank. You're our customer, you're the agent. What's our package right now? Well, Frank talked about the RIA. That's a part of our package. The next part is an income planning university, which I'm going to talk about, where we train you to sell an income plan. It's talk to talk. The next part is a system of leads and direct mail and internet-based landing pages. We use Plum. You heard Elizabeth talk about Plum. We use them and offer it to you at a considerable discount. In fact, there's even a way we'll pay for it for you. And then product is kind of the ancillary benefit, but those are also packaged. So what's the net of these things to Legacy from your chair? Well, we get you licensed up, we teach you how to do it, we get you in front of people, and then we have the product that's the solution. Not a bad package, right? Think about it as not one piece, but the whole deal. Now, these are the good old days, in my opinion. In the past, there was estate planning. Many of us that started the business many years ago, that was the big deal. Then came Pension Max, and then came viaticals, and then came reverse mortgages. There's always something, right? Well, what makes retirement income planning so different? Why is that one different than the other ones?
People are living on
Well, you're kind of close.
It's the same thing, just repackaged. It sounds better, so they jump on it.
Think in terms of opportunity. Everybody's going to retire, or get close to it anyway. Is that an opportunity? Is that a big market for maybe Pension Max? You know, it's a huge place. 78 million baby boomers like myself retire in the next 19 years or so. So the market's coming to us. These are the good old days from where we sit. Problem is, we're not prepared for this. It's a new language, it's a new presentation, it's a new delivery. We're not talking about caps and rates, we're talking about a cash flow kind of thing. It's a little bit different to get into that mode, and that's why we're here to help. That's what Legacy's gonna do for you. We created an income planning university, and the first 2 universities are in mid-June. One is in Southern Cal, one is in Dallas, Texas. And I think on your table, there's a registration and an advertisement on it. So when you get some time, look at that. If you'd like to attend, I'll give you some ideas on how it's gonna work and what it is in just a second. We wanna invite you. Now, Frank talked about this LIMRA survey of customers age 40 and over, how their attitudes and beliefs have changed. They say the number one reason they bought an annuity was to supplement their Social Security and their pension if they have one. My goodness, rocket science, right? And that 8 out of 10 buyers bought their annuity as part of a financial plan, i.e. package. It wasn't an individual sale, it was part of their master package. So you get my point here with this packaging, and really there is something to it. How about people that are retired? Where do they have their money? Well, banks and credit unions, brokerage firms, mutual fund companies, advisors. Where do we fit in? Kind of by the bottom, right? That's where, yeah, that's opportunity though, because that's what Frank was talking about. Fidelity is like has 7 or 8% of all the qualified money, 401k, they're the custodian. Well, do you think they're out marketing guys my age that are within 5 or 10 years of retirement saying, hey, once you get ready to move, let's move your 401k into my IRA with Fidelity. And they're gonna start selling products. Banks, wirehouses, all these guys. Probably not good products, but they're gonna start selling annuities because they have the relationship and they have the client. But we're better at it. We just gotta kind of get there before they do. Does that make sense? Obviously, that's why this should concern you, is because they're getting there, they have the relationship. We need to get there quicker. Now, landscape today, people's habits. Over 65, they want to consolidate. They don't want 6 advisors, they want 1. And they're targeted by everybody, including the wirehouses, Fidelity, all the others. So it's a crazy marketplace that we gotta find a way to dominate, get in there and dominate. And they're gonna be talking annuities and selling products tonight. But the future belongs to who gets there first. And that's why we have the university. Maybe you can get there first. Talk to them before they've already made a buying decision with somebody else. But it's a different language. We gotta teach you how to talk that language. Now, in the 70s and 80s, you wanna think about like a perfect storm. Alan kind of talked about it too. But the tech revolution, those companies, that was all the talk and the buzz in the 70s and 80s. And then came the more present communications revolution, 2000 until now. None of those things existed before the year 2000. Isn't that amazing when you think about it? Twitter just turned 7, as an example. Well, now the revolution is the income planning. It's in our park, our sandbox. People turning 65, 10,000 a day. 15% have a pension, which is a small number, and many of those are underfunded. It's a problem. 75% of Americans turn on Social Security when they first are eligible at age 62. Is that a good thing to do in most cases? No, do you think they need our help? At least a conversation about that? Because they're kind of taking it in the shorts for the rest of life. It's an irrevocable decision. And then people in their 60s have 80% of their 401k in equities. It's kind of upside down, don't you think? But knowing that kind of information, and if you could give a conversation to someone much in the way that Alan did earlier, just to enlighten them a little bit, we've got a fighting chance when we get up to the plate to do something. And we've got the products that do it. The government sees 78 million baby boomers as a problem. It's a stress on Medicare, it's a stress on Social Security, it's a stress on everything. We see it as an opportunity. We should anyway, because they need our help. And we've got the goose that laid the golden egg. We've got the products that guarantee a lifetime income, don't we? Nobody else has it. Next 20 years will be the name of the game. We've created a retail turnkey program that isn't hard to learn. And we're gonna make it available to you basically at no cost. And I like this point, because if this is the first time you've heard it, you're probably a little nervous and concerned, maybe even scared. I did this way for 20 years, and now you tell me I need to go into the income planning model, do something totally different, and talk a language I don't understand? Is that troubling to some people? Change is uncomfortable. But I think you'll find out it's not that big of a leap of faith. In fact, it's not hard at all. It's pretty much the same thing you've been doing, just packaged a little different. But here's our package. We give you the training, the marketing materials, the sales tools, the software, And then sales support, it just keeps going and going and going. Between Frank and myself and Bruce and others at Legacy, we kind of got this thing nailed. A to Z. Let's talk about the first thing, which is, of course, the sales training. Our income planning university. Our very first one is June 12th in Orange County. We can only accept about 30 guys. What do we got, about 15 or 16 signed up already, Frank? I can't remember the number, but it's not going to be a large audience, and it's an all-day event. There's no cost. You just have to get yourself there, and if you're staying overnight, pay for your hotel. But it's one day you'll discover programs designed to get you in front of people. That would be the plum program. Primarily, we found that to be the most effective and the most cost-effective way. And then how to shift your conversation from accumulation to distribution. Because many of your clients have accumulated the money now. They're trying to figure out how to use it in their retirement, how to pass it on to kids, whatever it is they want to do. And then think cash flow rather than a number. I remember when my dad was growing up, the dream was if you can ever get up to $1 million, you're set. It was a number. Today it is if I can ever get up to $4,000 a month, I'm set. It's a different conversation today. It's cash flow. It's managing your fixed expenses. It's not a number any longer. And then, of course, talking about Social Security options, that's going to be a major part of that one-day training. Right? Is what are the options? How do you learn that business? How do you educate yourself? And how do you have a conversation about it? How to present that plan, how to sell income riders as a solution, including SPIAs. Now, Legacy doesn't even offer a SPIA product. We're going to teach you how to sell one inside of the package, however. Pick the carrier of your choice. Ultimately, it will increase not only your annuity sales business, but you have a securities license, probably some security sales. By the way, you don't have to be an IAR or with an RIA to attend this university, because we're going to be talking about fixed basic income needs that supplement Social Security and pension. We're not necessarily going to be talking about all the lifestyle needs and the free money and all the securities kind of stuff. It would help if you want to get your RIA to do the whole package and not leave money on the table. But this initial university is simply about the fixed survival kind of money, Social Security and the gap. Stop leaving money on the table. So if you think of in terms of pictures, people think in pictures, they buy in packages. We're going to be talking about that part at the Income Planning University. Some people call it guarantees, some people call it survival. You know, it's your mortgage, your taxes, your medication and health care. It's your fixed costs just to get by. And then beyond that, there's growth and inflationary problems. Then there's liquidity and dream money. You know, my job at Legacy is to travel to the Dunhills of the world. I work with about 50 marketing companies similar to Dunhill all over the place. And many of them now have something on income planning. And they call it different things, and they package it differently. You know, some people call it, well, there's your guaranteed money and your lifestyle money and your dream money. But whatever it is, it's kind of the same deal. We'll cover your fixed, and we'll talk about stuff that's maybe like your cable TV and your golf club membership, and there's the travel and charity and all the other stuff on top of that. It's kind of like, in the old days, we used to call it what? Laddering? Very similar to laddering. This product fits this need, and this one does this one, and then we'll turn this one on 15 years later. It's that story. Not very complicated. How about marketing? What do we have to help you there? Well, we have the invitations and the letters. A lot of that is with Plum, by the way. Some of it is growing in Legacy. We have a seminar PowerPoint if you're doing dinner seminars like Alan does, or you may do, to integrate that into your conversation, which is a different message to what you're doing now, or adding to your message. Someone talked about the 567 ways that you can take Social Security. Only one of them is right. So let's help you get the one right based on your criteria, but not only by which year you're going to turn on, but which month that year you're going to turn on. And there's 0 employees at the SSA that advise on a decision. Did you know that, by the way? You see, you've heard that before. In fact, they prohibit their employees from giving advice at the Social Security Administration because of the liability. You know, they'll answer your question, but they won't advise you. That's our job. Now, there's the Plum deal. I handed it out to, it looks like this. But what it is, what's different about this than what Elizabeth shared is the Legacy pricing via Dunhill's on here. Instead of paying 65 cents a mailer, it's 50 cents a mailer if you're with Legacy. And there's even a reimbursement program. If you do some business with Legacy, we'll pay up to $1,500 of the cost of that mailer. It should be free to you. That's why to use Plum, but why to use it with us, basically, is what it's saying here. So how does it work? Well, like I said, it's 50 cents instead of 65. If you do $250,000 of premium with Legacy, we'll reimburse 25 basis points. So what does that mean in English? That means let's say you write 300,000 as a result of that mailer and meeting with people, we pay you 0.25%, that's $750. Works out to be about half price, it's 25 cents a mailer. And if I were you, I would squeeze Tony real hard and make him pay the rest of it. Yeah, that's what I would do. Is Tony in the room? Oh.
Tony, where are you?
Hey, Tony, where are you? I would always say that because he's not in here.
Where do you put the special quote? Squeeze?
Yeah, squeeze it. All right, how about sales tools? Well, we've got all the letters, the fact finders that Frank talked about, some are custom. How to set up that first, second appointment. The software is the biggest part of it, quite frankly. That's kind of what sets us apart. We have some proprietary software we've branded. And it's called Inspirement. You know, it's kind of retirement inspired kind of deal. This is, yeah, isn't that clever? Frank thought that one up. But that's the software package. I don't have time to go into it, obviously. I just want to get a commercial on it.
Here it comes.
Yeah.
There he is.
Now,
Thanks,
listen.
Tony.
Too late.
Oh, boy. Anyway, here's a husband and wife. They got a little pension, they got a little CDI. We got annuity 1 and annuity 2 that kick in at different times. So the fixed costs are $3,000, the fixed expenses are $2,700. You give them $3,000 and it goes up with inflation. So it's not rocket science, okay? But it's the way you prepare and present it that really, if you prepared and presented that to somebody and talk about how to cover all of your fixed expenses the rest of your life, guaranteed, doesn't matter how the market does or anything else, are you okay with that? We aren't talking about a product or a cap or a rate or anything else. We don't have to worry about if the market goes up or down. How about sales support? Well, we know it's a new world for you. We want to train you, but then we want to mentor and coach you as it goes along. So we'll provide ongoing training, which is a webinar every 30 days, quarterly training and updates if you're in the program with us. Frank will help you with the case design, especially your first few, so you kind of get it under your belt. We'll be there for you every step of the way. And that's what's different about, I think, Legacy and Dunhill compared to some of the other marketing companies, is we don't just offer something, but we teach you how to use it, and we follow up with you afterwards to make sure that you're not having problems and not stumbling along the way. So those are the dates: June 12th in Orange County, June 19th in Dallas. Space is limited. See me at lunch. Well, you already saw me at lunch. But I do have the registration materials. In fact, they're in front of you there, and also an advertisement on why you might want to come. Any questions on the Income Planning University? That's pretty much the biggest part of it.
How often are you gonna have those if somebody can't make those dates?
How often will we have it? It'll be kind of driven by supply and demand, I would guess. These are our beta tests. These are the first 2. We'll see how much of a demand there is for it, how successful it is, and go from there. My thinking is, since we already have an RIA, we invest all this money in software and other stuff, it's gonna go on for a long time.
But make those 2 meetings.
All right, Jan the boss, you in the room? She was checking out a hotel last day with that. Greg McCluskey in the back. Go ahead, stand up if you would. Mitch, you in the room?
Over here.
Stand up, please. Jerry Andrews here. Okay, why am I putting these names on the board? Dave Cuddy, I know you're the question here. Stand up, Dave, and come on. All right, the reason I mention those are, these are legacy producers that have been with us a long time, do a lion's share of business with us year in and year out. So it would be biased for me to say, hey, come join Legacy, sell our annuities, do all of our stuff, because I'd be biased, that's why I work for it. Talk to them though, because they have been doing the business with us for years, if they think Legacy is a good place to do business with. Okay, fair enough, thank you so much, guys. 15 of you that register for this event don't even have a Legacy appointment. That's a problem. You can't do any of this stuff I'm talking about unless you go with Dunhill and get appointed at Legacy to be able to sell our products and attend our university. So make sure you talk to our friends at Dunhill, any of the staff. They'll fix that problem for you. Now, other part of the package obviously is the RIA, perhaps the training. What about the products? How does Legacy go about building an annuity? Well, first and foremost, we think about what's in it for the consumer. Why would they want it or need it? And we, like many of your clients, we figured this out. People are worried about living too long, not being able to afford or enjoy retirement, maybe getting sick. Who's going to take care of me? Who's going to pay for it? Big concern. There's Jan right there. She just walked back in the room. I just recognize you, by the way, as the top Legacy agent in the room. Hey, everybody's going to come and talk to you, see how much you love us. The third concern people have is dying too young with the burial and the related costs, and the burden on the kids and the grandkids, and then accumulation. As an industry, I'm almost ashamed to say we've gotten away from talking about accumulation. everything we talk about now is something different, a feature on a product, whatever. People still want to grow with money, quite frankly, in my opinion. Frank had a stat up about how many good old vanilla fixed annuities are still being sold, primarily through the bank channel, just guarantees 2% for 5 years. Accumulation, people still need it. So knowing that, do you think Legacy would build a product that addresses those needs? And that's where I'm kind of going next. Initially, I'll call it one-dimensional products came out. Income riders was all the rave a few years ago. It basically solved one need, guaranteed income for life. You know how they work, guaranteed a roll-up and then guaranteed a withdrawal payout percentage, and you got a check every month for the rest of your life. That was the first generation. What's wrong with that picture? Anything. What could be better about that kind of story? Well, what were those 4 things I just said your customers worry about? Does this address inflation? Does it address if my health changes? Does it address if I die? No, it just addresses income. A fixed income doesn't change for the rest of your life. Well, we put it on steroids or 3D or whatever you want to call it. We designed income riders that address all the other stuff that people worry about, including what I'll call the next generation. They're multidimensional. It's a package. I love that word, package. What's the package? Well, if your health goes south on you, we'll double your income. If you die, we'll pay your kids or family or spouse or whoever you love some money. Because you didn't use that money for your own income, let's give it to somebody else. We either give it to you as a doubler payment or as a death benefit to your kids. Even if you use some of it, we'll give it to the rest of the kids. Does that make sense? Rather than what would you do for your mom or your sister or your daughter? Would you give her the income annuity that just pays a guaranteed income for life? Or one that has a doubler if they get sick and a death benefit to their family? All things being equal. So the 2 products are Spectrum Mark, our bestseller, and Command Mark. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on product because you guys are smart. You can figure this stuff out. Dunhill can educate you. But I want to give you some of the highlights just to demonstrate how the package fits into the income plan. We talked about people worrying about living too long, right? Well, our income rider is packaged with the plan. It's not optional. It's included right with the annuity. Okay, either a big bonus up front or a compound rate over 10 years, whatever works best for you whenever you turn everything on. It has an enhanced. Enhanced is another word for doubler. If you get sick, you can't do 206 ADLs. And it is approved in California. A lot of you are in California, right? Yeah. These products are impossible to get approved in California that have these kind of like long-term care or what if I get sick kind of riders. This is approved in California, so take advantage of that. And then it has a death benefit. In fact, it has 2 death benefits. If your kids want a lump sum payout, the formula is the premium plus 3% growing at 5% simple. Okay, so the kids will get some money. Or they can get the income base, the income rider number, the imaginary number. We'll pay that out to them, but they can take it over 5 years. Kid's choice, or mom and dad's choice, whoever wants to make the choice. That's huge. Plus higher caps. We have the most liquid annuity, I think, on the planet. If you diagnosed terminally ill, you end up confined to a facility, need home health care. Even if you lose your job, we waive the surrender, you get your money back. That's pretty good. How many of you have gone on an appointment recently, asked someone to sign the app for $200,000, they're going to tie up their money for 10 years, and they kind of get rigor mortis when it's about time to sign? Because nobody wants to tie up money for 10 years right now. There's too many what if happens out there, right? But would it be nice to know that if any of those things happen, or you need income for life, you can do it? I think so. No chargebacks, 8% comp.
Wait, back up. No chargeback?
No chargebacks at death.
Yeah.
This should age 85. Now here's how I would sell it, one page. Joe, you're 70. Let's look for the next 10 years till you're 80. A lot of things could happen. You can retire, you can die, who knows what. Wouldn't you like to know that on a guaranteed basis, worst case, if the market does zip and annuity earns no money, these are guaranteed actual numbers that will have to be paid to you or your family. If your kids want a lump sum in 10 years, they'll get $154,000. That's the death benefit. If they agree to take it over 5 years, it's a bigger number. It's $183,000. If you are still alive, you want to turn on your income at age 80, it's the same number. Your income is now $183,000. We'll pay you 6% of that, or $11,000 a year for the rest of your life. But wait, if you buy today, I'll double the offer.
No, wait, there's more.
There's more.
That's my package, right? So the kids will get that if you die. That if you die, they take it over time. You're going to get $11,000 a year. If you get sick, we'll double it to $22,000. I could sell all day long off that one-page calculation. Could you? That's all the thing is. They want to know what it does, not what it is, right?
Was that figured off of the Inspirement
No, that's just our annuity. I'm doing a commercial annuity. A sales guy can't get up and not talk about a product. Now, we have another product called Command Mark. Same kind of deal. It's a package of an income rider, a doubler, and a death benefit. This happens to be with Phoenix instead of F&G, but we have two products. This one's a little different because it has a bigger premium bonus. It has a 10% compound roll-up, one of the options. That's one of the more lucrative roll-ups. It has a doubler, it has a death benefit, it has all the things we just talked about, and high commission.
It's a premium bonus.
Yeah, that's a 7% premium bonus, sorry, I didn't say that. But this is our high commission product. This is kind of an ad we probably saw. It comes in different varieties. On this side, you know, you get the big roll-up, you get the big comp. Or it also comes in a 5-year product with a 5-year bonus. It has a different income rider.
I mean, a 5% bonus.
Yeah, 5-year product, 5% premium bonus, and 10% income. So I'm not going to share a lot of it. Let me show you something else. We talked about income planning, retirement planning, right? Try this conversation out with somebody you're going to meet with, some client. Joe, I think you want to retire someday, don't you? Certainly. Well, income is good, would you agree? Yeah. Consistent income, that'd be better, wouldn't it, Joe? Yes. Well, what about guaranteed income for life? If I had that, would you want to talk to me about it some more? Well, I think so. What do you got? Well, half the people I work with are worried that they don't think they have enough money to retire on. I don't want you to be one of them. So I'm going to call it my sales idea, speculation versus guarantee. And you might want to write this one down because it's so simple, but it's pretty powerful. I'll role play with you like you're my client, kind of like Alan did. I love this delivery. Joe, it looks like you got 100 grand here. What's your plan for retirement? He said, well, I'm 10 years out from retirement. I'm going to put it somewhere, let it grow, and then I'm going to live off the interest when I retire. You ever hear that one? All right, you know what the problem is? Joe's never put the pencil to the paper and done the math. All right, Joe, the next 10 years, what do you think you're going to earn on your money? What do you think he's going to say?
10%.
Right, 5%.
Nice.
Well, think about it. In today's environment, maybe 10 years ago, you got to say 10%. But you got money in the bank, you got money in the mutual funds, you got money everywhere. All in, each year, next 10 years, what's going to be your average need? I think 5% is fair, don't you?
No.
Whatever he says, just write it down and do the math. So, Joe, what that means is if you're 60 now and you're 70, in 10 years, you're going to have 162,000 bucks if this works. Now, Joe, you're a pretty smart guy. What's a safe amount to draw out each and every year for the rest of your life so you never run out of money? What percent could you feel safe drawing? 5.
2.
2. 3. You're right, 3. I don't care what the number is, just work with me here. Joe, what that means, Joe, is if you do draw 3%, it might be the right number. You're going to get $4,800 a year. How's that sound? It might offset Social Security or pension, whatever, it might help. But most people don't know they're going to get that little of amount. Well, Joe, I got a better idea. Try this on for size. What if we change the word from speculation to guaranteed for the rest of your life? We'll start with your 100 grand. I'm going to guarantee in writing to you it'll grow at not 5, but 6.5. Each and every year in the next 10 years. Which now means you're going to have almost 200 grand when you're 70. Not only that, I'm going to guarantee how much you can take out for life and never run out of money. And it's not 3%, it's not 4%, it's 6%. Which means instead of 4,800, I'm going to give you almost 12 grand a year, every year, as long as you live. But wait, if you buy today, I'll double the offer. You get sick, I'll double it. You can't do 206 ADLs. I wouldn't use 206 ADLs because that's industry jargon. I would say if you get sick, I'll double. And tell them the details later. I'm telling a story here. You agents that are the best are storytellers, like Alan was this morning. Man, in 26 years, I've seen a lot of successful agents, and the best ones are storytellers over a legal pad. Now, given the two, which one looks better to you, Joe? Because what happens here? We don't know if that's going to happen. We don't know if that's safe, do we? We're assuming it. This is guaranteed, that's guaranteed, that's guaranteed, that's guaranteed. You know what that is? That's the legacy product I just talked about, the Command Mark. Those are the real numbers. That's not imagination. That's exactly what would happen for a 60-year-old to age 70 on a guaranteed basis for the rest of his life. I just think that's a brilliant way to explain an income rider. Do you agree? Because that's in their language. You know, my mailman can figure that out. Not that my mailman's not smart, I'm just saying. Anyone can figure that out, and you can do that over a napkin at dinner. So,
That's a question. Can
I got 10 minutes left.
If he's 70 years old, wouldn't he be needing his income right away? I mean, you want to have him put away for another 10 years?
Are you talking about this
Yeah.
right here?
Yeah.
He's 70 years old when he gets up to retirement age.
It was
What was your
60,
question?
not 70.
When is he gonna retire?
Oh, here he's 60, and here 10 years later he's 70.
Oh, okay.
Just
60,
illustrate.
okay, I thought he was 70.
Old's good, people live forever.
Yeah, you can take any age, any dollar amount. I'm just saying the process is kind of cool. What if he said I got 200,000? Well, then you gotta get your calculator out and do the math. But the story is, the story is, you know, do you want to speculate with the most serious decision you'll ever make in the rest of your life? Maybe other than marrying wife number one. In my case. Or you want something guaranteed for the rest of your life. I mean, my goodness. What decision you ever make in your life could be more important? Because if he does retire at age 70, how many more years do you think he's going to live, according to what Dr. Nate said earlier?
13, 14.
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah,
23 or 20.
That's a long time. And this decision, there's no guesswork. It's just all guaranteed. You don't have to worry about what your variable annuity does, what the stock market does, what the legacy annuity does. It's worst case scenario. Could it be better? Yeah, it could always be better, but I'm giving you the worst case scenario. This is if everything goes perfectly wrong, that's how much I'm going to give you on a guaranteed basis in writing for the rest of your life. Did your stockbroker ever tell you about that? Your CPA? That other insurance agent you're messing around with?
Is this a universal life? This is universal life? What?
No, this is an annuity with an income rider, like it's called Command. I wanted to use an actual product with actual numbers, so I wasn't giving you some pie in the sky. What was the premise of my remarks today? What did I leave out saying we're going to talk about? A package. That's your package for retirement. You combine that with your income plan. You know, this number here is designed to supplement what you're already going to get from pension or Social Security, if anything. Now, some people I bet you meet or suspect 10 years from now, if there is going to be Social Security, or what it might offer them. Could it be different with Obama? Or anybody for that matter. Yeah, because of what? Alan said earlier about the stresses on our society and our country and our government. Who knows what they could change with Social Security? I'd rather bet on the high side with my own money. Take care of your bad old self, right? Anyway. Any comments, any questions? I'm pretty much done, I think. All right.